What's going on, guys? Welcome back to Just Like Smith channel. In today's video, we're going to be installing the MOTO V4s on the Surron. We are not doing the rotors in this video. I'm going to get those and do a future video. But anyway, we're going to go ahead and install these front and rear and walk you guys through it. I've never installed aftermarket brakes, like calipers, brake lines, and levers, master cylinders, whatever, on a Surron yet. We've only done the factory ones whenever we put this bike back together. We are going to go ahead and try this out now. I'm hoping that the line that comes set up for the rear brake on a mountain bike will be the front brake line on the Surron, because it's similar to a dirt bike where the front brake is on the right, and then on a mountain bike the front brake is actually on the left. I also went ahead and picked up the MOTO brake line kit, and we got all this from the local bike shop is what it's called. They're out of Conroe, Texas. And guys, look at these brakes. They look sick. We went with the black and the purple. So these brakes are, hello, if my camera would focus. These brakes look really sick. So hopefully they're mean. And like I said, these are designed to work with a 3.3 millimeter thick rotor, but I'm gonna pick that up from Hope or call the local bike shop and see if they have one in stock. But for right now, we're wanting to go riding this weekend, so we're gonna go ahead and get these on. And I actually discovered the 3.3 millimeter thick rotor after I'd already ordered these, so we'll get those on order and then we'll do a video maybe showing the differences. But yeah, so this is set up for the front brake of a mountain bike right now, which will be on the left. So the line is pretty short. And then we're gonna go ahead and take this line off and use it with this lever and master cylinder setup. We're gonna go ahead and get started, and I'll try to walk you guys through this as much as possible and let you know of any issues or things that we run into. Oh look, that says 2.3 millimeter. So these are 2.3 millimeter rotors. Cool. You're supposed to use 3.3 rotors with this brake setup, but anyway, you got two 5 millimeter bolts down here. And then that's going to go ahead and pull your caliper off. You got one zip tie, and that's all that holds it on. I've got a couple zip ties up here for like some wire management, but now we're just going to take off these two 4 millimeter bolts, 4 millimeter Allen heads, and pull off this factory master cylinder. All right, guys, so we have the whole front brake setup off now. We're going to just leave this together because we can always throw it right back on the bike. On the rear, in order to get the brake line through the frame and everything, we will have to take the brake line apart, but like this will be ready if I was to, my brake go out or something, front brake, or even on a buddy's bike, we could always just throw this whole setup on here. It's already bled and ready to go. So now we're taking off the brake line. This is supposed to be the rear brake setup, and it's becoming the front. And now we're gonna disconnect the brake line and swap this right on over. With the kit, if you need to shorten or lengthen the lines, it does come with some extra olives and the barb fittings with the copper washers. So right now we're using this little tool, just a cheap one off of Amazon, and we just now cut the brake line. We ended up using the long one that was for the rear on the front, and now we're pressing the barb fitting in to where that's flush. That's good, that's good. So now we've got that done, and we're gonna break this back loose because this one that was designed for the front, it's supposed to be on this side, and then it would be long enough. But from where I grew up riding dirt bikes, I want it on this side. So we had to use the line off of the rear. So we just now ran to Advance right quick on the Surrons and picked up some more brake fluid, but I finally got to test out the front because we bled it before we left. And dude, so far, totally worth the money. If I can get the rear to feel like this front does, I'm super happy. And the bike doesn't even have 220 rotors yet, and it doesn't have the ones that are 3.3 millimeters thick, which theoretically would get rid of even more pre-travel having a thicker rotor in there, I think. But anyway, it looks sick, and they are working awesome as far as the front goes. A little bit of a before and after right here. So here is the factory, which takes a mineral oil. And then here is the MOTO V4, which also has some cool purple accents on it, but it actually takes, what's it called? DOT 5.1 fluid. So we had to go get some DOT 5.1 fluid, and I have the pre-travel and stuff set like fully maxed. So it's actually awesome. Like right there's the wall, super far away, and it's perfect for just my front two fingers. I love that, dude, it's sick. But now I will say, if you don't like running just your two fingers on it, this is actually, like, I couldn't really run that much more. So I don't think they make like a longer lever, but yeah, so that is something to kind of look out for. It's not a disadvantage for me, but it might be a disadvantage for some people. But I absolutely love it, dude. It's so sick. So now we're gonna go ahead and pull the entire rear setup off. Right here is what it ended up looking like on the caliper. So it looks awesome down here. And I'm running the green brake pads, which is their race spec brake pads. And then it also came with purple and red. So we're just gonna run with what's in it right now. The green race ones, so far they feel absolutely awesome. Onto the rear. So I ran the brake line down through the factory like brake line guides. All I had to do was just pull off this one bolt, and then the brake line goes right through the channel on the frame. If you've ever powdered your bike, you know about the channel in the frame for the brake line. Please don't just run your brake line like on the outside of your bike. Just run it how it's supposed to be. So there's a hole right here. Doesn't have good enough light, but anyway. So that comes up through here, down through this guide. Now we're gonna go ahead and fit this to the caliper, and then we'll trim at the lever as needed. So as far as putting the new fittings on, I just took the old brake line off. The banjo bolt can be left alone. And then you put on your silver threaded sleeve right here. And then you put on your olive, which is this little gold piece. And then it's gonna be the barb fitting after that. And then you're gonna have a little bitty tiny copper washer that will actually go in between the banjo. And that comes in the kit. This kit comes with like plenty of stuff. It has been a while, guys. I got this cool little charging station set up. I even put this here, so then you can take that off the loop, plug it in, put it back up whenever you're not done. Pretty cool. I think I'm wanting to get some metal put on the walls in the shop, make it look a little bit nicer in here for the videos. Been trying to organize all my stuff. If you guys would like to see like shop organization videos and like making like storage and whatnot, drop a comment down below. So yeah, it's currently like a month later, maybe. I don't know if it's a month, but it's like at least 3 weeks later. This thing where like I'll film a video, and then whenever it comes to test riding, I'll try to wait a couple of weeks and actually get some miles on the bike and then post that video a couple weeks later. So then I can give y'all an honest review and not just ride it for 5 minutes and then say, yeah, they're great, go spend, you know, $600 or, you know, however much you end up having in them. Yeah, so we've done quite a few things to the bike, but the Hope Tech 4s are still holding up great. So this is what the brake lines ended up looking like whenever I got all of the wire management and stuff done. They bleed exactly like dirt bike brakes, so you literally just take this top cap off with these 2 screws, keep fluid in here, make sure that it's level, and then you literally just break this bleeder screw loose right here and let fluid come out. I like to put a little hose on there on that nipple. You can put a little hose on there so then your fluid doesn't squirt onto your powder coat, or even if it's a factory bike, you don't want it to squirt all over your road or anything. So the only issue that I ended up having was my rear rotor came loose whenever I was test riding it, and it warped it so bad. So I ended up throwing on a Prickly 220 rotor with the Prickly 220 rotor spacer. But the stopping power on the front is amazing, and it just has the factory Warp 9 rotor. So that is one thing, guys. If y'all get these Warp 9 wheels, I purchased mine from Charge Cycle Works. Take loose all of the rotor bolts and all of the sprocket bolts and put Loctite on them and torque them to spec, whatever spec is, or at least torque them tight, because if they get torqued to spec from Warp, it's not tight enough. Because my front rotor came loose the other day. Luckily I caught it before it destroyed the rotor and warped it really bad. The rear one, not so much. I didn't catch that one in time, so I ended up having to throw that Prickly rotor on. So I would highly recommend buying the Hope Tech V4s. My buddy's bike has the TRP Slate Evos, and I like the Hopes a lot better. I like how they bleed. I like the stainless lines that you can get. Like I said, I purchased these from the local bike shop, is what it's called. They're out of Conroe, Texas. And I will say, make sure you get that hose kit that I showed y'all earlier in this video, because the hoses that come with the brakes will not work on a Surron. I ended up having to use the longer hose that's made for the rear brake on the front brake, and then I used the new hose that came in that hose kit on the rear brake. It was long enough. So everything worked out perfect. I ended up having, you know, proper slack on this brake line. I ran it straight through, put all new ends and stuff on it, slapped a little zip tie right here so I never have to worry about the tire catching it. The one in the front ended up being the perfect length to wrap around the fork one time just to keep it looking nice, because I did have it just running straight off of the fork, and every time that the suspension would go in and out, it would bow out and be sticking like way out here. And it looked kind of silly, but yeah, you have full adjustment of, let's see if I can get this to focus. So you have full adjustment of the reach, and then this is the, I guess it's kind of like pre-travel. It like moves the lever in and out. Not sure what that stands for, but it feels good. Exactly where I've got them right now is pretty much as far out as they can go. And that's where I really, really like them. So they are awesome, and I highly recommend these brakes. So that's going to be all for today's video, guys. If you all have any questions, don't forget, drop a comment down below. I'm going to be doing a full Surron bike overview, every single part, my opinion on every single part that I've put on this bike. And then I'm also going to be doing like a first 5 things that you should do to your Surron. So I've got a lot of Surron content coming soon. So don't forget, hit that subscribe button down below. Drop me a like, drop me a comment if you have any questions or concerns. Always remember, everybody starts out as nobody, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.